There are a lot of reasons to study Vietnam. You can begin with some obvious reasons, like the fact that Vietnam is the fastest growing economy in the world. It's one of the most dynamic cultural spaces right now. Almost every field and industry is transforming, from the film industry to political science to all these different fields. It's just one of the most quickly changing places in the world, certainly in East Asia.
Vietnamese Studies offers courses from the undergraduate level to the graduate level, and we include courses that touch on history, that touch on politics, that touch on film and literature and culture.
Columbia is one of the institutions across the country have multiple language lecturers and 2 professors on Vietnamese studies. That's the thing that we can see that Columbia have strongly commitment on Vietnamese study program and the Vietnamese language.
One of the great rewards of learning a language in general and learning Vietnamese in particular is it provides you a window into a country, a people, and its culture. Language will provide the key to look into Vietnam, the land, the country, and its culture.
Vietnamese studies at Columbia has really changed my perspective on what is Vietnam, what is Vietnamese study, and who are the Vietnamese people by emphasizing the plurality of us, the diversity of us.
For me, growing up in Vietnam, it's really hard to get an unbiased perspective of the history of our own people. So being in a world-class institution like Columbia, having these professors that have worked in the field for 20, 30 years teach me about my own culture, it's just the most enriching experience I could ever imagine for.
The student who has no background in Vietnam, there are many of those types of students. Then there are students who are Vietnamese American, who have a very specific cultural background in Vietnam, who come from that curiosity. There are students who come directly from Vietnam, who have their own background, having been born and raised there. And then there are students who are interested in other parts of East or Southeast Asia, who then discover there's this kind of blind spot in their understanding about the region.
We would like very much to address the needs of the students, both personal needs and professional needs, from heritage students who want to reconnect with their cultural roots, as well as graduate students who want to do research in Vietnam.
Being at Columbia is a really unique place to be as a Vietnamese or a Vietnamese American, because New York City is the place where both Vietnamese national communities, people from Vietnam who immigrated recently, and Vietnamese Americans communities also live here.
New York is such an amazing place to study Vietnamese because it is right in the middle of the international Vietnamese diasporic community, as well as such a convenient place for international diplomats, such as the UN ambassador, such as the president of Vietnam, to come to these conferences that we offer every single semester. And then all of the professors at Columbia have huge connections with other professors in the field, so they all get invited. We have people coming in from overseas directly to New York, and as a student, you want to be able to tap into the resources that we provide at Columbia.
With the Center of Vietnamese Studies here at Columbia, I think sky's the limit. We would be able to foster closer relationships with institutions of higher education in Vietnam. That would then mean that we could host student exchanges, faculty exchanges. It's the Center of Vietnamese Studies that really would place Vietnamese studies at Columbia on the map globally.
We can educate and develop the next generation of global leaders. We want to ensure that they have deep knowledge about Vietnam and Southeast Asian studies. All of this are resources for us to develop this new generation that will lead the U.S. into the 21st century and beyond.